So I have here, it started off as a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I've cut it in half. So now it's still 12 inches long by 6 inches high. And I'm going to cut that in half so that I'm going to end up with a piece of cardstock that is 6 inches by 6 inches. And then I am further going to work with that piece and put some folds in it. So you can see here, it's up to 6 inches. I'm going to score it right in half. So that means the 3-inch mark. So there's my 3-inch. And that'll just follow down the groove. And now it's scored at 3 inches. Then I'm going to turn it, one turn to the left. And I'm going to go over to the 4-inch mark and score it down to 4 inches. And then I'm going to flip my paper over. So I'm turning it over. And I will fold it up on those score lines. So I'm going to fold up, press that down real good. And then I'm going to fold over on the other score line. So now I have folded on all my score lines and I've pressed it, or what we often in the paper industry call it burnishing, which just means pressing in that fold really well. Okay, so I'm done with my scoring and pressing then. So now what I have is almost like a little card with this little flap here that can create, as you can see, 2 little pockets on the inside. But because when I fold it, you see how this is starting to stick out, the inside of it, so it's just not quite neat. But that's because it's kind of binding in the center here. When you're folding it, there's just too much bulk. So I'm going to turn this upside down. Actually, I could open it right up. And this little flap, which is now a 2-inch height flap, I'm going to cut it into like a little V shape. I'm just taking a little bit of a nick out of each one. So I'm just putting my scissors over a little bit, like, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. It doesn't take much. And then I'm angling them down so that the point of my scissors is going to go right to the point of that fold there. If you wanted, you could make a line, but I think it's easy enough to eyeball. Then on the other side of the score line, I'm doing the same thing. I go over about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, and I'm angling my scissors right down to that fold where the 2 folds join. So I have like a V shaped out of there now. So now when I flip it back over to what's the inside of my project, fold these up and fold them inside, I should have a much neater fold there. And if I don't, I can push them in or trim them off. That works too. And actually I will trim this off because there's just a little hair sticking out there. Perfect. Yeah, you see there's just a tiny, tiny little bit sticking out. So that trimming the inside really helped with that. So now what I have, it's like a small note card with what can be 2 pockets on the inside, which is good for putting in gift cards, or what I want to do is put in a little package of seeds there. So that'll fit in there just nicely, and I can close it, and there is a gift card with a package of seeds, or even space for 2, or a package of seeds and a gift card, or a tea bag, or any other little tiny little gift that you want to give, or you can put decorative tags in there. Oh, the ideas are endless. Okay, so what I'm going to do is decorate what will be the front. And because I find it easier to work with it while it's flat, I'm going to open it all up again, but have the folds going facing down, the flaps facing down, so I know this is the front that I'm working on. I have a piece of cardstock here. I'm just going to trim that a little bit. And this is already the same height, so it's 4 inches. And I'm just going to do a rip here, a little bit of a controlled rip, so that it's not straight, but I don't want it to go way off at an angle. I don't want it to be that exaggerated. So this is something you can do with just little scraps that you have left over, right? And I'm going to put that down onto my card. Just use some liquid glue here. Doesn't take very much to get paper to stick. You could use double-sided adhesive or whatever kind of adhesive that you like to use. And if you wanted, you could ink the edges of it first as well. I often do that, but for this project, I'm going to leave it. So there's what we have so far. Open that back up again to work on it. And I have a bunch of these cut pieces. So this is a good way to use like little ephemera pieces that you have left over from your projects, maybe. And I just want to put a little cluster of something on there. This, maybe to go to scale, you might need something a little bit bigger. Do we have the bird? If we do the bird, maybe I should do a pink heart instead. Or instead of that, something like that. So we just want a little cluster of pretty things. And then I have a saying to put on there too. Have a bloomin' beautiful spring. Where am I going to put that? So to make this a little bit smaller, I'm just going to cut that off. Before I get it glued down, I want to see what's going to, yeah, actually that will work for me. Something like that. This one should be equal, I guess. So I am going to put some glue on here and just get this glued down. This is a very quick little project. Get the bird out of there before he's glued underneath. And actually I could have bumped that little heart up on a foam dot. That would be nice. In fact, maybe I will do that. Here's our little birdie, and one of these foam dots here I can put underneath the heart. And it's okay that I already have glue on there. It just means it's going to glue it to my foam dot. And we'll put that on there. And then my saying, my little sentiment. Okay, we'll just put her down like this. Sometimes you just have to make a decision. There's too many options. I could go on for several minutes trying to decide where I want to have that. There, have a bloomin' beautiful spring. And when we flip this over now to the inside, I do want to glue up this flap so that it stays closed like a pocket. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down the side and a little bit of glue down this side. You could put some in the center, but I don't really feel like that's necessary. Because of what I'm putting in here, if it's going to fall out, it's just going to fall to the inside of the card anyway. So I don't feel like I need to put glue in there. So just hold that long enough that the glue tacks up enough to hold it, and that seems to be enough. And then I put my little package of wildflower seeds back in there. And that is ready for gifting. So something just really quick, but yet fun to make something and fun to give away. And hopefully the recipient will have fun planting and watching the wildflowers grow.